Hello, Christina Johnson here, and welcome to the segment on solution-focused therapy. I'm so excited! Solution-focused is definitely my jam. I am a solution-focused therapist. So I feel like it really has built up upon everything that you have learned thus far in this course about postmodernism, social constructivism, and it really is all about creating our own reality. We get to create corrective experiences here in the therapy room. And when my clients and families come in to see me, they initially come in expecting to talk about problems, to talk about the laundry list of issues and what is broken between them, what is broken within them, the emotional damage, as a lot of the teens have been saying lately. I don't know why that term has come up over the past couple months. I've heard it a lot. There must be a meme or something circling around with emotional damage. But it's a different experience when they come in to meet with me, a solution-focused therapist. So it really does guide me in our sessions, and that very first session in all of my years of doing therapy, I love doing the miracle question when I first meet somebody. So I'm going to share with you guys what I typically do in a first session and kind of role play, if you will, the solution-focused interventions. So I know that I've shared with you the sticky note intervention, and that is typically one that I do in the assessment phase when I'm getting to know a family. But the very first thing that I do, right after going over confidentiality and informed consent, is I let them know that every therapist is different. And I am a strange therapist. I've got some strange questions. Some of them take a lot of imagination, and I hope you're up for it. Are you game? I pause, and they usually kind of smirk or maybe look a little baffled. And then usually one, if not all, of the family members will shake their head and sure, why not? So once I get there, okay, that they're up for a strange question that takes a lot of imagination, I say, okay, let's pretend. Let's pretend that tonight, whenever you go to sleep, you're going to have the best sleep you've ever had. You're going to sleep like a rock. I would say sleep like a baby, but we all know that babies don't sleep that well, and they wake up and they pee themselves and they're crying. So we're not going to sleep like babies tonight. We're going to sleep like a rock. Okay? And you're going to sleep like a rock. I'm going to sleep like a rock. We're all going to get the best sleep ever tonight. Okay? In the middle of the night, whenever you're asleep, a miracle happens. And the problems that brought you in to come see me just disappeared. Now, you don't know that this has happened yet because you're still asleep. Okay? You're still asleep. Mom's still asleep. Dad's asleep. I'm asleep. We're all still asleep. But the problems that brought you in for therapy, they just dissolve in the middle of the night. Now, whenever you wake up tomorrow, you're going to notice something's different. It's a miracle. So what's going to be the first clue that tells you that this miracle's happened? Now, usually, not always, but usually, there's a pause. And that's when I say, I told you it was a strange question. I told you it was a strange question. And then I see some light bulbs. You can tell whenever you see that they've thought of something. Okay, so what's the first clue that's going to tell you that this miracle's happened? And then they'll share something. Maybe that I'll wake up and I won't be feeling depressed. Okay, so the problem saturated story, if you were using narrative language, or just that negative thinking that we are so conditioned and used to having, it's still going to be there. Okay, so usually the response to the miracle question has a lot of negatives. This won't be happening. I won't be depressed. We won't be fighting as much. I won't be, this, that, and the other. So if they say that I won't be feeling depressed, okay, so you won't be feeling depressed. If you're not feeling depressed, how will you be feeling? I don't know. Happy? Okay, happy. Happy. All right. I'm a visual person. All of my clients know that I'm a very visual person. I like to picture stuff. So if I'm a fly up on the wall looking down, what would I see that tells me, oh, wow, Jane Doe is happy. I can see that you are happy. What would I see? Now, solution focused is very behavioral. Very behavioral. It's a short-term solution focused treatment model. So it is very behavioral. I want them to be thinking about behaviors. So I ask that fly on the wall question a lot. And so they're kind of puzzled. I don't know, what would you see that would tell you that I'm happier? Maybe I'd be smiling more. Okay, smiling more. Now, I take a lot of notes in my sessions because I got a good forgetter up here, and I don't want to forget anything that you are saying right now. I want to remember this all. So I write down everything that they're saying. I get a super rich, thick, detailed description of their miracle. Okay, so you wake up, you're smiling, you're feeling happier. What else is different? What else is different? And I just ask more and more difference questions. So I utilize difference questions to get more and more of a thick description of their miracle. Oftentimes it starts in the morning, right? Because it's you wake up in the morning, what's the first clue that tells you that this miracle has happened? And then I have them take me on a journey throughout their day. What else is different? Okay. So then what would I see you doing next? Fly on the wall, right? What would I see you doing next? Well, I'd probably get up out of bed and I'd be getting ready for school. Okay, and I'm writing it down. Okay, you're getting up, smiling, getting dressed, getting ready for school. And of course, I am balancing it and I'm bouncing back and forth. And I'll tell them, I'm going to come back to you. This is juicy. I can't even write this fast. So I ask the parent, okay, what are you going to notice is different after this miracle happens? Oh, well, I'll see them actually get up out of bed. I'll see them get up out of bed. They might say, good morning. Actually acknowledge me in the morning. I won't, and then they go into no, won'ts, right? I won't have to, pull them up out of bed. I won't have to remind them multiple times. It won't be a fight in the morning. Okay, if it's not a fight in the morning, if you guys aren't fighting, what will you be doing? Hadn't thought about that. Well, I guess we'll be enjoying our breakfast. We might be just having conversation. Interesting. Okay, this is getting juicier. Conversations like what? Like what would you guys be talking about? Oh, okay. You'd just be talking about your day. Getting as much of an explanation of what I would see as a fly on the wall that's going to be different, that's going to be better. What's going to be better? When you're ready to walk out that door on our last session and you're like, bye, Christina, we don't need you anymore. What's going to be better? What's going to be different? Whenever things start slowing down a little bit and they're just like, yeah, that's it. I know that I've gotten the most important things to them, the stuff that's at the surface, and then I go a little bit deeper. So I like to go a little bit deeper into thinking, feeling, doing. So Okay, so you're going to be feeling happier and you're going to be doing this. How are you going to be thinking any different? I guess I'll be thinking positively. Oh, okay. Thinking positively. Like what? Like if you had a little thought bubble coming up out of your head and I could read your thought bubble, what would it say? Now, I work primarily with teenagers, so I get a lot of I don't knows. I don't know. I don't know. I told you it was a strange question. So, yeah, you're not sure. And then I embrace the silence for a bit. I sit there. And usually, if I just do that, yeah, you're not sure. I sit there, and they usually will come up with something. Like, I don't know, I guess think that, today's going to be a good day. Okay, I'm writing it down. Today is going to be a good day. Yeah. So I am writing, and I usually fill a whole page. So my clipboard that is blank at the beginning, by the end of the session, I have a full page of what's going to be better and what's going to be different. I can use this and reference this, which I do, for my treatment planning and my care plan, which I'll talk about in a later video. So another intervention, other than the miracle question, which is pretty standard for the first session in solution-focused therapy, is the skeleton key. So at the end of the session, the skeleton key is what I use at the very end of the session before they're getting ready to leave. So I review. I literally read back and reflect to them everything that I wrote down. And some stuff that I kind of am hearing, but maybe they didn't say in so many words, and I check with them for meaning. Is this what you meant by that? Oh, and this is going to be better, and that's going to be different, and this is going to be different, and this is going to be better. So we talked today about a lot of things that are going to change over the course of therapy. There's going to be a lot of positive changes between you, within you, at school, in the community, at work. So I'm curious, what is it that you would never want to change? What is it that you want to stay the same, that you would never want to change in a million years? And sometimes they have to think about that for a minute. And this is where I gather their resiliency. I gather up their strengths. I find out kind of some new stuff too, of like what they're into, their talents, their hobbies. But most frequently, what I love hearing is our love for one another. That's what brings them into therapy under all of it, is that they care. They care about one another. Even the most angry, negative, blaming family that I've seen, they wouldn't be that angry if they didn't care about each other, right? They just wouldn't give a what if they didn't really care about each other. So I asked that skeleton key question of what is it that you would never want to change in a million years? And our closeness, our love for one another, that we have each other's backs. Sometimes I find out like my pets, my love of animals. I just love the skeleton key because I get to find out if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So let's find out the stuff that's not broken, the stuff that is the baseline that we can build from, and the foundation that they can continue and that they can strengthen and even make bigger in their lives. And so that is kind of, in summary, what my first session looks like with families. So now I want to fast forward to a couple sessions down the road. I like to do scaling questions. Scaling questions is very standard in solution-focused therapy, and I explain to my clients that I love scaling questions. I love them because On a scale of 1 to 10, using numbers, it's a common language to help us talk about some really complex things, like, how am I doing? That's a pretty complex thing. How am I doing? How are we doing? And so I, again, take a lot of notes. So with my clipboard, I'll write a 1 and a 10. Now this is important. I do 1 to 10. I don't do 0 to 10. And my reasoning behind that is that 1 to 10, 1 implies that they're not at a 0. Even if they're rating at their lowest, they're still at a 1. You know, they're not hopeless. They're here, obviously. They're wanting to better their lives. They're coming into therapy. They're not at a 0 anyways. So on a scale of 1 to 10, if 1 is functioning at its worst, or the problems that brought you in for therapy at their worst, and 10 is your ideal functioning. 10 is whenever, and I repeat the miracle stuff, right? Whenever you guys are getting along, you guys are spending time together, you're feeling happier, you're smiling more, yada, 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 right? So I, again, revisit that miracle, and I write under the 10, I write what it's like at a 10. Knowing that no one and nothing is perfect, right? I'm not a saint. I know that is the truth. There's no family out there, no relationship out there that is going to be sunshine, rainbows, unicorns, getting along all the time, never fight. That would kind of creep me out and be scary if that was the thing. I don't know if you can have a deep relationship and not have some conflict and rough times, because that's what makes people stronger in relationships stronger. Might I digress? I get the thick description under the 10, and this is probably the only time in solution-focused therapy where I spend any time at all on the problem list, because I want to know what it was like at its worst too. So I have them kind of write out what it was like at their worst. This might seem familiar because of the sticky notes, right? Over here on the window wall, sticky notes, what it was like at its worst. This is the 1. Over there at the door when they're getting ready to leave, that's the 10, that's the miracle. That's how they're going to know when they're ready to graduate from therapy, right? So then I have them rate, and they each get to have their own ratings. Maybe the parent is rating at a different place than the client is. Again, social constructivists. We all have our own perspectives. We all have our own realities. And so we can all have our own ratings too. And the ratings can change. Shoot, my ratings change moment to moment, day to day, different times of the month, right? So I get their ratings. And so on a scale of 1 to 10, if this is you guys at your 1, this is you guys at your 10, where do you feel like you're at right now? Now, whatever number that they tell me, let's say they say we're at a 3. Wow, a 3? And so I have the same response. They could tell me an 8, and I'm like, wow, an 8? A 3, a 2. Wow, a 2? Because it's not a 1. You know? I do get some people that rate at their worst. And maybe they're having a rough go of it that day or that week. So, but wow, okay. Tell me, what's better at a 3? What's better at a 3? We didn't really have that many problems this week. Again, the won'ts, right? Okay, so if you guys weren't fighting as much this week, what were you doing? Redirect, right? Redirect towards the positive, redirect towards the solution, redirect towards those desired behaviors. And so I have them describe for me what's better, what's different. That is what I ask them. They get totally used to it. Christina's going to ask us when we walk in there, what's better from last week? What's better from the last time that I saw you? And I think it's really important because it takes more mental energy and effort for us to recall positive experiences that we've had over the last week than for us to recall the negative. Evolution has adapted us to focus on the stick, not the carrot. So I help them have that corrective experience of thinking about, talking about, recalling. So there's 3 different ways that we're stimulating that positive memory network, right? I'm recalling it, thinking about it, speaking about it, and then I reflect it to them, all about it. So we talk about what's better up at a 3. All right. So we're reinforcing that positive change. We're going in the right direction. We're going towards that 10. Then, this is where things get nice and juicy. I ask them, okay, so I'm curious, how would you guys know if you were at like a 3.5? Like, what would be even a little bit better than where you guys are at right now? That's how I use difference questions to prompt the family to propose some new solutions. So they propose some desired behaviors, some behavioral solutions that they could do this week to move them up on their scales. I'm very straightforward, very transparent, so I'll ask them at the end of the session to come up with a commitment. What are you willing to do this week? Knowing that I can't control anybody else but me, people, places, and things are out of my hands, but I can control myself. What are you willing to do this week that will move you up a baby step on this scale? And then I write it down and I follow up with them on it the next week. Okay, so you were going to pause and take some deep breaths before you respond to one another. How did that go? You know, how is your emotion management better this week? Whatever it is. So scaling questions are huge. It's a great way of focusing on progress. Not only do the clients feel good and the family feel good whenever they feel like they're making progress and talking about it and focused on it, gives them kind of a focus and things that they can practice outside of our session, which is huge. And it makes me feel good too. It's really kind of obvious and physical proof that we're doing something here. You know, there is growth, there is change happening. And solution focus being a brief treatment model, that's super important that they're able to get that traction really early in therapy, and they're able to get that momentum and to have some clear-cut kind of intercession tasks and propose solutions that they can do, because they're going to get out of therapy what they put into therapy. And so I like the behavioral solution focused lens for that reason too, because change happens quicker, it's more long lasting. Whenever the family's involved and whenever they're motivated and engaged and they're getting that positive reinforcement from me, from each other. And so I'll end on one of my favorite activities as well, which is the coin toss. So I got this from Children's Solution Work. I believe that's the name of the book. It's from Insoo Kim Berg. So Insoo Kim Berg and Stephen DeShazer, they were founders of Solution Focus. And so from that scale, okay, and from that miracle question, mainly from the miracle question, I propose a challenge. Now, you guys know that I work with teenagers. Nobody likes the term homework. I try to steer away from homework, so I call it a challenge. Okay, I have a challenge, an experiment. If you guys are willing to try it, a lot of families have enjoyed this experiment, and a lot of families have reported a lot of positive changes happen with this experiment. But, you know, every family is different. So are you guys willing to try an experiment this week? Usually we've already built some rapport and they're on board. They're going to give it a shot. What is there to lose? Nothing to lose. So I pull from my purse a penny or a nickel or whatever kind of change that I have in there. And I give it to the teen. And I say, okay, I want you to flip this coin in the morning. Every day I want you to wake up and flip this coin, and if it lands on heads, you're going to act as if. You're going to pretend that today is a miracle day. Okay, so I remind them of the miracle. I read back everything I wrote down from the miracle. So you're going to act as if this miracle has already happened. Okay, and it's really important that you keep track in your phone, on your notes on your phone, or somewhere. Keep track if it was a heads day or a tails day. Now, if it lands on tails, just don't change anything. You don't have to do anything different. It's just if it lands on heads, then you're going to act as if the miracle has happened. Then I turn to the parent or parents, and okay, I want you to guess. I want you to keep track and guess each day on a piece of paper or the notes in your phone if it was a miracle day or a regular day. Was it a heads or was it a tails? Put down your guesses on a little tally sheet, and then next week, whenever I see you, we'll see if you guessed right. And so we'll line them up. We'll see if you were able to guess if it was a heads, if it was a tails. And that's a really fun way to engage the family, to get them applying these new solutions outside of the session. And it's kind of fun to have a little game. I hope that some of these interventions were helpful for you and that you can enjoy Possibility Land, where they can create their preferred realities by focusing on what they want. And so, yeah, that's what I got to share with you all. And I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next segment.